This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
This morning, Hoosiers across Indiana are required to wear a mask while in public. Now at 4:30, the last second change Governor Eric Holcomb made to the order. Plus, a TV icon will be laid to rest here in Indiana. This morning, the latest on services planned for Regis Philbin. And
don't throw them in the garbage, don't plant them, don't touch them.
Strange packages popping up in mailboxes here in Indiana and across the country. Working for you, why local police say that you should not just throw them away. But first, here at 4:30, I want to thank you for starting your day here with us on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey. Todd Clausen is standing by in studio with me this morning. And Todd, we have some changes coming to the forecast today after a pretty dry, sunny weekend. And boy, is it humid out there today.
You know, you can almost cut that humidity with a knife, Lauren.
Yeah.
It's so thick out there. In fact, the humidity outside right now, it doesn't get much higher than this as you make your way through central Indiana during the summer months. This is Florida-type weather, New Orleans-type weather along the Gulf Coast with not only the humidity around, but look at these temperatures at 4:31 in the morning. 80 degrees almost still in Muncie, 75 in Martinsville, 76 in Bloomington, 76 in Indy. Lafayette, you're at 78 degrees this morning. No issues weather-wise this morning. Visibility is fine. Skies are partly cloudy. No threat of rainfall for your morning drive or throughout the morning for that matter. But it all changes later on this afternoon as this cold front with a lot of showers and storms along it makes its way through the state. And this is going to increase our rain chances as we get into the afternoon hours. And as some of these storms start to develop, they could be borderline strong to severe. I think we're dry through about the 2 o'clock hour. Once we get past 2 o'clock, that's when these storms are going to make their way through the area. And I do think they can linger all the way into the midnight hour. We'll show you the hour-by-hour timeline for you coming up using TrueCast in just a few minutes. Lauren.
Todd, thank you. Let's take a look right now at traffic. This is in the Fishers area, I-69 at 106th Street. You can see traffic is moving along smoothly, both northbound and southbound. No crashes here to slow down your commute. We do have some good news to share to start your week. Traffic is once again moving on the westbound side of I-70 between the South Split and Ronald Reagan Parkway. The reopening comes early for west side drivers who've been dodging closure since May 22nd. That's when the interstate work started on the other side of the highway. You will want to remember to grab your mask as you head out the door this morning. That's because Indiana's statewide mask mandate is now in effect. Governor Holcomb did make a last-second change to that order. He dropped the planned criminal penalty for the mask mandate after objections from some law enforcement officials and conservative legislators. When he announced the mandate last week, the governor said violators could face a misdemeanor charge, but noticed that the, quote, mask police would not be patrolling the streets. Indiana Attorney General Curtis Hill issued a non-binding opinion saying only the legislature could make violations a criminal offense. Here at 4:33, we want you to turn to the latest data from the State Department of Health. On Sunday, state health officials reported 860 new COVID-19 cases. Sunday's cases brings the total number of reported cases in Indiana to more than 62,000 since this all started. State health officials also confirm 8 additional coronavirus deaths since the pandemic began. More than 2,700 Hoosiers have died from the virus. Well, state lawmakers are concerned about the new numbers showing nursing home deaths that they're higher than the state originally reported. At least nearly 1,400 residents have died in Indiana long-term care facilities, making up 53% of the state's total deaths. That's 128 more deaths than listed on the state's coronavirus dashboard. Representative Ed Delaney is concerned because the data does not include 18% of the nursing homes who have failed to meet the state's reporting deadline. He says this shows the importance of good data collection from early on.
We have a right to know what's going on in the places we pay for. Okay, we pay through our taxes. That's what we have a right to, and we weren't getting it, and we need to be getting it. And you know, the data problem, there is no happy data, okay, in this crisis.
Well, the state is still working to gather the remaining information and plans to release its nursing home dashboard in about 3 weeks. It will contain real-time information on nursing home deaths and cases broken down by facility. In the meantime, we've created our own database on our website, theindychannel.com, so you can look up your loved one's nursing home. At 4:34, coronavirus infections continue to surge globally, with more than 16 million people have testing positive for that virus. More than 4 million of those cases recorded right here at home and counting. ABC's Karina Mitchell reports hope may be on the horizon as the race for the vaccine takes a giant leap.
This morning, Congress poised to take action as millions of Americans are on the verge of losing that $600 a week federal unemployment benefit. Republicans proposing a pared-back package with laid-off workers getting up to 70% of their former wages.
It won't stop the assistance. It's going to cap the assistance at a level that is consistent with people going back to work.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi admonishing the GOP, calling them out of touch and blaming them for the ongoing crisis.
And that delay is causing suffering for America's families. So we have been ready for 2 months and 10 days.
That as several states report out-of-control coronavirus numbers. California now the worst hit in the country. Florida, with more than 400,000 cases, now surpassing New York to become the second most infected state and recording an alarming spike in infections among children. 9-year-old Kimora Lynham, the state's youngest COVID victim.
She was resilient and strong, and she could put a smile on your face just by looking at her.
But while hospitalizations surge in the state, officials looking for a way to extend a lifeline to bars and restaurants by keeping them open. Top health officials delivering a stark warning.
If they open up bars now, they're basically saying goodbye to schools for all of the fall.
15 states reporting problems with testing, some waiting up to 19 days for results. But today, a step in the right direction. Thousands of patients nationwide showing up for the country's first large-scale vaccine trial. Moderna is heading into phase 3 of their vaccine trials, taking 30,000 volunteers and injecting them with what could be the first immunization against coronavirus. Meanwhile, Kentucky today bracing for new restrictions as at least 30 children under the age of 5 have died from the virus, and Indiana beginning a new statewide mask mandate. Karina Mitchell, ABC News, New York.
At 4:37 and new from overnight, a man is dead, another fighting for his life after a shooting on the city's west side. This happened around 12:30 on West Morris Street near Holt Road. Police tell RTV6 an ex-boyfriend was fighting with a woman's new boyfriend when shots were fired. The ex-boyfriend was able to go to a nearby gas station to call for help and call 911. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition. The new boyfriend died at the hospital. Police are still working to learn more about what happened there. Across town, one person is recovering after being shot near East 38th and Oxford Streets. We're told the victim was taken to the hospital and is expected to survive. What led up to the shooting is under investigation. Since Friday afternoon, at least 15 people have been shot across the city. 2 people have died. In Cumberland, a man is dead after a shooting Sunday night at an apartment complex. Police were called to investigate the shooting around 7:45 p.m. in the 11,300 block of East New York Street. The officer says that the victim, a man in his 20s, was dead when they arrived at the scene. His name was not released. Investigators say this is the first homicide in Cumberland so far this year. We are working for you this morning with a warning from police. The warning comes as residents in Greene County, the town of Linton, and other parts of the country are receiving mysterious seeds in the mail. The seeds come from China and they're in packages like the one you see here on your screen. Linton police officials say that the intent of the seeds is still unclear. But if the seeds show up in your mailbox, do not just throw them in the garbage. Instead, you should call the local USDA office. Our Scripps station in Utah caught up with one woman who read about the mailbox surprise online.
And there was an article that I found from the UK saying that this has been happening over there, and they are bad seeds. They are invasive.
The Better Business Bureau says it's too early to say, but this could all just be a scam. Some companies will send a product so they can post a fake review in your name. Again, if the seeds show up in your mailbox, you can call your local USDA office. This morning, we're learning more about how legendary TV host Regis Philbin will be remembered. The University of Notre Dame says that Philbin will be buried at Cedar Grove Cemetery on the university's campus in South Bend. A funeral service at the Basilica of Sacred Heart will also be held to remember the TV icon. Philbin graduated from Notre Dame in 1953 with a degree in sociology. Philbin is perhaps the best known for his roles on Live with Regis and Kathy Lee, later known as Live with Regis and Kelly, and on the quiz show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. In 2011, he broke his own Guinness World Record for the most on-camera hours on TV. And a date for the services has not yet been set. Regis died on Friday in New York at the age of 88. A new stimulus package is set to be unveiled later today in the Senate, just after the break, while the proposed deal is getting pushed back ahead of its debut. And fans may not be able to be in the stands for Major League Baseball games, but it's not stopping them from watching games in person. We'll take a look at their creative ideas a little later this morning. Todd.
And Lauren, it's dry but extremely muggy across central Indiana this morning. But off to our west, there is a cold front that is going to bring us some relief from the heat and the humidity. But to get that relief, a round of showers and storms in the forecast this afternoon and into the evening hours. Some could be strong to severe. We'll talk all about it coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. Time now is 4:40. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on RTV 6.
Welcome back. The time right now is 4:43. Here's a live look right now at traffic. I-65, a little south of 38th Street. Traffic in this area is moving along smoothly. As you can see, both northbound and southbound. We'll keep you updated if there are any crashes or delays you need to avoid this morning. Stay tuned for that. Well, today, Senate Republicans are set to unveil the next stimulus bill, but this morning it's already getting sharp criticism from members of their own party. During interviews on Sunday, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows mentioned a desire for a less ambitious plan that would likely entail stopgap measures like unemployment insurance and education funding. The plan is expected to include direct payments, more small business loans, and tax incentives for rehiring. As for House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, she says Democrats want a full package and not a piecemeal approach. This morning, with just 99 days until the November election and the pandemic raging, President Trump is fighting a two-front war. The first battle is the coronavirus, which continues to increase in severity in many parts of the country. The other battle is falling poll numbers. This morning, President Trump trails likely opponent Joe Biden in crucial battleground states, Michigan, Florida, and Arizona. Those are three states the president carried in 2016. A key issue for voters, economic recovery, with millions of Americans now out of work. This morning, crews continue their efforts to reach workers who died during the Hard Rock hotel collapse down in New Orleans. The collapse happened in October of last year. On Friday, New Orleans officials announced they would have to delay their efforts to recover Quinyon Wimberly's remains. The crews originally had hoped to reach his body by the end of this week. City officials blame the delay on weather and equipment issues. Family says they've had trouble even driving by the site of the recovery efforts.
And for many have to pass on the interstate at times, I can't look over that way because I can't take the pain that he's hanging out the window.
Wimberly's remains are not the only ones that the city is working to recover. Crews are also working to bring out the remains of Jose Ponce Areola. They say that they could reach his body by next week. This morning, Hawaii is feeling the impacts of Hurricane Douglas, but it appears the worst of the storm skirted by the islands. Meteorologists warned that the hurricane's path could shift slightly and Douglas could still unload its destructive power on the islands of Oahu and Kauai. The storm carried winds of 85 miles per hour, making it a Category 1 hurricane. Video from Maui shows strong waves hitting the coastline. Good Morning America will have more on this hurricane coming up at 7 a.m. right here on RTV 6. It's 4:46. Let's check in with Todd in today's forecast.
And Lauren, we have thunderstorms in our forecast here across central Indiana this morning. Now, as you walk out the door, it's nice and quiet for us anywhere you go across central Indiana. The big issue that we have this morning, and if you haven't walked outside yet this morning, wait till you open that front or side door and walk outside. It is extremely humid out there, and this humidity is going to be with us through a good chunk of the day until the cold front heads our way with the showers and storms and kind of eliminates the humidity for us, but then we'll deal with showers and thunderstorms as that front moves through. 76 in Bloomington, Muncie right now, still close to 80 degrees. Lafayette, Terre Haute at 78, and the humidity is just about as high as it can get here across central Indiana. Dew point temperatures today are going to be in the 70s to mid 70s as that rain starts to make its way into the area, and then even this evening it's still going to be really humid, but eventually that humidity will start to drop across the area, and that will set us up for a much more comfortable day tomorrow and going forward. So what do you need to know before you walk out the door this morning? I think we're fine with thunderstorms at least through the noon hour. As we get to the noon hour, a few isolated ones will start to build in, and then they become more numerous as we get into the afternoon and evening hours. Notice our high temperatures today are actually going to be probably around noon to 1 o'clock. Once that front starts to come through and we deal with the rain, our temperatures are going to start to drop off just a little bit. Skies are mainly clear across the area right now, but it's this long broken line of showers and storms that's off to our west that is going to come through. As far as the potential for severe weather, we are under the marginal risk for severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center for most of central Indiana. On our scale here, marginal is the lowest threat category, so it's not going to be a widespread severe weather outbreak here throughout the course of the day today, but there will be the potential, I think, for a couple of these storms to produce some damaging wind. That is going to be the main threat, but it's only about a medium threat for us, so it's definitely not going to be a guarantee. As far as the rain goes, once the severe threat ends, probably around 9 o'clock with sunset, we'll still maintain the threat, at least, of some scattered showers and storms in this forecast, even into the overnight hours. But once it's through, sets us up for an absolutely terrific Tuesday and Wednesday. The humidity will be much lower tomorrow. Could be a little bit of cloud cover to start our day tomorrow, but then plenty of sunshine. Temperatures will be in the low 80s. And as you take a look at your 7-day planning forecast, Wednesday is probably the best day of the week. 85, seasonable, sunny. The humidity still fairly low, and then it does get a little more unsettled once again as we get towards the latter half of the week with showers and storms. But as we open the month of August on Saturday, Lauren, look at the temperatures, a little on the cooler side compared to what we've seen, with a high right around 80 degrees.
I think we can use some cooler temperatures, Todd, after what we've had the past few weeks.
I agree.
All right, let's take a look at traffic as we're heading out the door. I-65 and I-465, excuse me, this is I-74 and Post Road down here on the southeast side of town. You can see traffic is moving along up to speed. No major issues to slow down your commute. But let's take a turn right now to I-70. This is over on the west side where lanes are flowing in both directions. This is near Minnesota Street, and you can see that the westbound lanes are back open. That's a little bit earlier than what we expected, so that's great news if you travel to and from downtown on the west side after those long-term closures. Major League Baseball has returned for a shortened season, but there are no fans in the stands due to the pandemic. However, the rooftops neighboring Chicago's Wrigley Field allowing fans the opportunity to watch some live baseball. Tickets for the rooftop seats come at a hefty price tag, though, of at least $300. There's temperature checks at the entrance, reminders to social distance, and capacity is limited to about 20%, which means only about 40 to 50 people per game. This morning, a majority of sports fans are ready for sports to return, even if they can't watch them in person. That's according to an ESPN poll. It says 78% were in favor of seeing sports return, even if there were some tight restrictions on fan attendance. More than half the fans asked were ready to see their favorite teams back on televised games. 64% of the fans say they now have a greater appreciation for sports thanks to COVID-19. A Utah woman had nearly given up hope after her beloved cat went missing more than a decade ago. Just after the break, how a simple phone call reunited the pair after all these years. And with the coronavirus dominating headlines nearly every day, we sometimes forget that some people are courageously fighting other health battles. New at 5 o'clock, we'll introduce you to one organization working hard to support the city's most critical patients. Todd. Oh, and Todd, we can expect to see thunderstorms to kick off our work week. As he mentioned, make sure you aren't caught off guard with a live radar on the Storm Shield app. The app is available for free. Just search Storm Shield in your smartphone's marketplace. We'll have more on that coming up after the break. Stick around. You're watching Good Morning Indiana. Welcome back. The time right now is 4:55. Here's a live look at I-465 and East 82nd Street up on the northeast side. You can see traffic is moving along up to speed, northbound and southbound. No major issues to slow down your commute at this early hour. Well, need a smile? Then this is the perfect story for you. It's moments like this that Kelly Carlson thought would never happen again. Cuddles with her furry friend, Mocha. Mocha went missing 13 years ago, and Kelly expected to never see her again. And then just last week, a call from an animal shelter in town had a cat that had a microchip that linked to the Carlsons. It was Mocha.
I'm in shock, utter shock, and I really think it was meant to be. Having her back, I feel like it was fate. I feel like she needs to finish off her last little 7 years that she has left and needs some happy home time with me.
Well, turns out that a woman in town had been feeding a stray cat for a decade, not knowing that this was no stray. When she picked up to move, she did get a little worried the cat would go hungry. Well, little did she know that her rescue would turn into a reunion. That is wild. So social distancing apparently has fewer people reaching for deodorant and more people reaching for ice cream. That's according to Unilever. A company says that there's been a drop in demand for personal care items like deodorant. At the same time, ice cream brands are seeing their sales increase. Unilever says consumers are eating more soups and using more meal kits and mayonnaise. We're all just sitting at home, Todd, not using our deodorant and eating ice cream.
Yeah, and
2020.
And slapping the mayonnaise apparently, on the burgers and BLTs and whatever you put it on. All right. Today's one of those days, especially this afternoon, where you're not going to most likely be grilling out. Unfortunately, showers and storms will be heading our way this afternoon and this evening. And they could be fairly numerous across the area, and a couple of them could be borderline strong to severe. But once that front goes through, a much better weather pattern for Tuesday and Wednesday with lots of sunshine. Temperatures in the mid-80s before more storms return by the end of the week. The time now is 4:57. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on RTV6. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.